you haven't already seen my previous video about Recroom printing basically having the potential to change because of the ink limits increasing, then you don't have to, because I just explained it right now. Basically, ink limits, you have more ink to use now for any room, but for this demonstration, we're using it for the dorm. Now, since there's more ink to be used, we can now have more custom colors to use, specifically 22 to 27 more. So 102 to 107, 102 for canvases, or 103 you'll see later, and 107 for just shirts. Here we are in the Recroom printing Discord in the general. So Dave made a color compiler version 5.1, and he made 2 inventions, 107 markers part 1 of 2, 107 markers part 2 of 2. The reason why they're in separate parts is apparently what Dave thinks is the reason is because the invention is too big to be saved. So it's too much ink to be saved basically. So yeah, that's why they're both in separate parts. So let me just show you from scratch basically. If you don't already know how to print, then I would highly recommend to watch my printing guide, which I will have linked in the description, or just go to my channel, watch that, and then stop watching once you get to the color compiler part or the custom colors part. Obviously keep the video up and then use this information instead of the video's information, but just keep watching both. So like, you know, watching my video, once you get to the custom colors part, watch this to see how things have changed, and then go back to finish off the rest, like all the inventions that you need and all the spawning and all that good stuff. Hopefully that made sense. So assuming that you're at the part of trying to import colors and all that stuff, let's just spawn in the shirt printer dorm real quick. So spawn it in through the store. Make sure you spawn everything through the store, and then I'm going to delete all this useless stuff that you don't need to print. Make sure you delete this as well. So you should be left with all of this: the start button, delay, shirt printer, these 3 chips, and a string variable if you're using string variables. So let me just spawn it in. String variable right there. Make sure you delete the one that comes with the printer and spawn in a fresh one from your maker pen, or else it won't work if you're using string variable. Once again, if you're using string variable. So once you have all of that, you want to delete these sets of markers right here that come with the printer. So just select all of them, and once you selected all of them, go back to your maker pen, press on delete, and delete wherever on the highlighted area. And there we go. You should be left with this: just the chips, the clamp, and no markers. You'll then want to go and search up this invention in the store, 107 markers parts, and it should show up both of them. Just on both of them. Spawn part 1 of 2 through the store. Remember, once again, spawn everything through the store, and then spawn part 2 of 2 through the store. There we go. You should have all 107 markers. If you're only printing on shirts, then just leave that how it is right now. You'll then want to spawn in the rest of the inventions that you need for the shirts. So you're going to need board placement seat v2, which is going to be very useful when placing your board. You'll then want board visual v2, so then you can tell whether or not the board has been placed in the correct area. And if you are using the board visual, you'll then want to delete this start button, and then you'll want to wire the invent receiver test event to the run in the delay chip. And if you are going to be using 2-part printing, then you can just spawn it in without having to delete anything else. So there we go. Everything fits in here: the 2-part printing, the seat, the visual, and all 107 markers. But if you are doing a canvas print, then you'll have to delete 5 of these markers and 5 of these little things and 5 of these little squares. So just 1, 2, 3, that's 1 set of markers. So that's 1, and then 2, and then 3, and then 4, and then 5. Now Dave did say you only had to delete 4 of the things that I just deleted, but me personally, I couldn't get the canvas to spawn without deleting that 1 extra marker, so 5 total. I'm not sure. Maybe you can figure out a way to only delete 4, but just for safe measures, we're going to be deleting 5, and you can just spawn in the canvas printer module right there. Perfect. Just perfect right there. Of course, if you're doing 2-part printing, you can spawn it through the store. No issues at all. So yeah, there we go. 102 markers for the canvas, or 103 if you manage to spawn it in by just deleting 4 markers, and 107 for the shirts. Now let me show you the entire color compiler part process. So you'll want to go into the Recroom printing Discord, and you want to download the color compiler version 5.1. So just press on download, and it should automatically download on whatever whatever your default browser is. Once it's downloading, go into your folder, your files, your downloads, and then drag your color compiler into a color compiler folder if you want to, if you're doing that little tip that I told you in my printing guide. So what's in the color compiler? You can then double click on color compiler and then press on compile, and then compile whatever image you're trying to print right now. I'm going to use a canvas as an example. Now, although it does say 113 is maximum, that is an error. 107 is the maximum amount, and 102 to 103 is maximum for canvases. So let me just put 102 because I'm using a canvas, and you can use 0, 1, or 2. I personally use 2. I always use 2, but you can mess around and use 0 or 1 or 2, whatever your liking is. So there we go. 2. Once you press 2 and enter, you should get an RGB and a hex file, which you can keep here or you can store them wherever you want. So once you have your RGB and hex file, you'll want to click on the RGB file, right click, open with, and notepad. You'll just want to leave that open for now. Go back into your downloads and into your Recroom Shirt Printer main. You'll then want to click on your encoding, right click, open with, notepad. You'll then want to go back into your RGB file, select all, copy, so Control A, Control C, and then go back into encoding, scroll down until you reach right here, this final text that has the color. So you want to select it from right here. You'll then want to highlight it and go all the way up to right here. No more, no less. Make sure it is exactly that. You'll then want to press Control V to paste your new colors into the encoding. You'll then want to press File, and then you want to press Control S or just go to File and click on Save. You can then just exit out of all of that, and once you have your RGB, well, basically your custom colors into your shirt printer main, you want to click on List Create Importing or Shirt Printer, whether or not you're doing string variable, shirt printer. If you're doing List Create Importing. Double click, press on No, open the image that you're trying to print, so just select it and press open. You'll then want to decide to dither or not. That's up to you. I'm going to not dither, so I'm going to press N and then enter, and here it is, the final image that's going to be printed right there. And then we can see how many strings it's going to take to import. So yeah, there we go. So assuming you have your list create or your string variable ready, you'll then want to import the colors here. So let me show you how to do that real quick. You want to sit on the seat, grab this with your right hand, grab your maker pen with your left, aim your maker pen right here in this first marker. You'll then want to open up your maker pen, go into tools, go into recolor, and then just leave it right here in this menu. You'll then want to go back into your color compiler version 5.1 and then press I and enter to import the hex file. Select the hex file, press open, and you'll want to choose a delay of 0.2 or 3 or 1. It is recommended now to use 0.2 or 3 because you'll run into issues if you don't, but you can experiment around and use 0.15, 0.1, whatever works for you. I'm gonna just use 0.1 just to test it out if it still works or not. So 0.1, you'll then want to press enter again and then go back into Recroom with the screen on, and there we go. Looks like the importing is still perfectly fine with 0.1. Once again, use whatever delay works for you, but it is recommended to use 0.2 to 0.3. So once you're done with coloring all the markers, you're pretty much done. You're pretty much set to go. You're pretty much set to just start the print, and it should start printing just like that. Again, it is completely the same. The importing process is the same as the old importing process. It's just you have to import to more markers. You have to recolor more markers now. I also wanted to add on, if you are doing the tip about the transparent backgrounds, you want to delete any of the colors that you purposely picked for your background. So let's say I picked the blue background color. I'll delete all the blues that have been left over while you're recoloring all the markers. Make sure you only delete the markers and not these two right here, just the markers that you have to delete that are part of your background. Once again, that's only if you want transparent background. There we go. That's pretty much everything. I just wanted to make a quick updated video. It's just slight changes, but it's for the better. Obviously, it's going to be way better with the extra markers that you have now. Of course, you can still use the old 80 to 75 markers if you want to. No one's telling you to move on to the 102 to 107, but yeah, I would recommend you test out more markers to see how your prints end up coming out. Maybe it'll be quicker, maybe it'll be higher quality, who knows. It all depends. It all varies on whatever you're trying to print. Just wanted to make this quick updated video. I'll see y'all next time.